try to make me feel embarrassed. There are types I've been in name, but they tell me I'm the one with problems. They're the ones who are insane, so for those who are but won't admit it, you shouldn't be like that, cause you could be 20% cooler and 10 seconds slower. Shout it out. I'm proud to be a Brony. Yeah, yeah. I'm proud to be a Brony.
Hello mayors and gentlecolts, my fellow bronies. Welcome to I'm Brony and I'm Proud. I've got Silfoe with me. She has 4,000 watches on DeviantArt and growing. G'day Silfoe.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Whereabouts the states are you from?
I am in South Texas.
Fantastic. The first thing I think about with Texas is Houston. What I think about Houston? NASA. I'm a space nut.
I am too. Always awesome to visit Houston and the NASA Space Center.
All right. Next time I'm over there. That's the first thing on my list to do. So, how did you become a brony?
Well, I started seeing all this ruckus on the internet about ponies. Thought they were cute. Decided to see what all the ruckus was about. Binged watched all of season 1, and it was fate.
Fantastic. What has it been like since season 1 and now being a brony? Did you start creating fan art straight away? How did that come about?
I actually didn't start creating right away. At most, I would binge watch Netflix and sit there with a sketchbook and doodle ponies. Can't remember exactly when I started doodling in digital art, posting it on DeviantArt. Since then, been a blast to create art, so I didn't stop.
Excellent. So has My Little Pony been the catalyst for you becoming a creative? Or was it something else? Or have you always had a love for drawing, for painting?
Actually, I was already a fine arts major before then. Time when I started watching Pony, I had just gone to graduate school for digital art. So Ponies was just sort of a way to transfer from traditional to digital. I have a master's now, so...
So do I! And how are you finding it, going from traditional to digital? I mean, the techniques are relatively the same.
Well, the fundamentals are the same. Light, composition, all of that. Having undo has been a godsend.
Fascinating. Oh, I never thought of it that way. Wow. That's right. When you do a drawing or especially painting, it's like, wish that I could have gone back at least 50 strokes. So I was like, that's going to be sitting in my mind for a week. Oh, wow. So what are your thoughts on the community? It can be the fandom in general. Probably more specifically, how you've encountered the community on DeviantArt, how they've been responding to your work, and the relationship you've been having with your watchers, those people engaging directly with your work. For me, that's something that's definitely fascinating. And of course, quite revolutionary, because to be able to create work and get immediate feedback, largely positive and constructive, which is really good.
DeviantArt, of course, is overwhelmingly positive, almost to its detriment. Like, it's harder to get critiques and feedback that way. So I usually go through, okay, what are they saying on DeviantArt? Now, what are they saying on Derpy Burrow? What are they saying on Reddit? And getting a more widespread course of feedback. And it helps when it's posted on Reddit and Derpy by someone that's not you, because people feel more free to comment more honestly. And of course, take some with a grain of salt, because there are people who go, I don't like this thing, and some that actually give good feedback. Like, hey, you missed a wing again. You learn to double check for wings. Overall, pretty positive. Every community is going to have its downsides, its negatives, but of all the internet communities I've been on in my life, this one's pretty good. Awesome.
There is an oversaturation of positivity, which is really ironic since as artists we crave so long and now we're just getting it on steroids. And so now we're like, cool, what can you specifically tell me about the work? What do you see? How do you interpret it? How does it make you feel? And also it's sort of a challenge to produce works that sort of differentiate yourself from everyone else. But if you're really true to your own content, that's no trouble at all. And I guess that's what it comes down to. You continue to make your own content the way you want to, and eventually the right people get into it and follow the leader, so to speak. So with that system in place, do you find yourself that you give tips and tricks to those people who sort of ask, how did you do this? Oh, what is that? Can you show me how?
It often happens during the Saturday live streams I do with another artist. Somebody will come in, oh, how do you do that? And we'll sit there and explain different ways we go about some process. Very rarely somebody will approach on DeviantArt going, how do you do this? Or what program do you use? Oh, we use Photoshop CC, or basic questions like that. Closer followers contact me through Skype and go, hey, could you take a look at this picture and tell me what you think? Okay, and help them out with proportions or whatever they need help with.
Absolutely, because you may learn something about yourself that you wouldn't otherwise know unless, well, someone else sort of pointed it out. Are you streaming with Picardo?
Every Saturday, right after the episode ends, I go to Picardo and live stream. Somewhere in the afternoon, my friend joins in and multi-stream until we can't art anymore.
Nice. And definitely the chat system is far more immediate than DeviantArt, that's for sure. Does the speed of interactivity sort of ebb and flow from week to week? There's some weeks where it's like insane traffic, and there's some weeks where it's like, phew, slow down a bit.
It depends sometimes on the week, mostly on the time of day, because our live streams usually last 12 hours. Towards some parts of the day, it'll be a little slower, or the conversation sort of waned as people have talked about whatever the new episode was, or whatever big fandom thing happened was.
Cool. And do you get the occasional person that actually hasn't seen the episode? And do you give a spoiler warning?
We do occasionally get people who don't watch the episode. A friend I live stream with actually does blind reactions to the episode, so at some point I'll put up a spoiler warning thing telling people to stop talking about spoilers, and then I'll come back after the episode's done.
Is your friend by any chance Kick-Ass King?
No, actually, it's Assassin Monkey.
Righty-o. Because yes, a friend of mine, Kick-Ass King, he does blind reacts as well. Has Assassin Monkey always done blind reacts to the episodes, or is it something recent?
As long as I've known him, so at least season 4 he's done this.
Very cool. That sort of leads into my next question about collaboration during the stream. Should I say multi-stream? Love when those are on. It's like, oh wow, it's like we're really cooking now. Do you find when you're streaming and he's streaming that you're sort of feeding off each other's energy?
We definitely feed off of each other. Be like, hey, you might want to check that thing you're working on. Or you would be really funny is if you put a giant unibrow and Celestia right there. And we push each other to go a little bit longer, a little more detail, that sort of thing.
Awesome. Most of your work definitely shows a lot of love to the two of the best princesses in Equestria. First work that really captured my attention was definitely in Defense of Equestria, and it's a highly detailed piece. The light sources are amazing, and Celestia's horn is charged up and ready for something fierce, and Battle Axe and the armor is amazing. And then we've got Princess Twilight by her side, so to speak. How long did it take to do that work?
I'm actually not sure of the general idea of that one, because that was like, okay, let me work on it a bit now, and then like a week later, I'll go back to that one. And it took a course of months of just fiddling around, picking it up and dropping it, picking it up and dropping it. It may be why it ended up as detailed as it did.
I like that process. Tinker here, tinker there, and eventually, fully armored Celestia ready for battle.
Unfortunately, it's not terribly sustainable with freelance commissions and things like that. Kinda gotta work on it one huge set. Or I started doing missions too, so I wasn't quite into the process yet, and I hadn't found my own digital process yet.
One of those works that helps you establish your digital process from here on now, so to speak.
Yeah, it was very much a learning process. And mess up something else, learn how to do it, reapply it to that picture, and eventually it came out pretty good.
Certainly did. And when I look at it, it's even got a bit of, not sure if this was intentional, but it looks like there's a bit of a Pride Rock reference to The Lion King. Is that true?
Wasn't thinking Pride Rock, now that you mention it, kind of. I just wanted some overlooking ledge for her to be standing on and looking down at this supposed battle with the fire coming up.
Yeah, that's how it is, isn't it? Everyone looks at the work differently. Powerful pose, and like the work, Celestia demands full respect here, so it's absolutely amazing. Definitely my favorite. Of course, with 20 pages dedicated to comments, clear to say it's fan favorite as well.
Its age helps a little bit. It's had plenty of time to accumulate some love. My most favorited commented piece ever.
Excellent. And with the ratio from favorites to comments, how many of those people do you find that say, wow, this is really good, and approach you and ask you for a commission?
Probably got a few commissions out of that piece. People looking at it going, hey, can you paint this other detailed thing for me? Whereas those commissions always end up like, oh god, I want to. Can I pull it off?
Oh, yes. So, in Defense of Equestria, done in 2013, and now we're moving forward in time, looking at Luna Doodle 62 Refined. For me, it's indeed intriguing seeing the two sisters in such a peaceful way, and it's very humorous. It's like Luna's like thinking, what am I doing here? Or Jerry Springer on kind of thing. What is she thinking? Celestia is in full zen, and Luna is probably, maybe it's just the slightly impatient younger sister is like, have I got inner peace yet? I'd rather have some cake. What do you see when you see this picture now?
Definitely see what I originally put with her staring at her shaved tail, kind of wiggling it, like, I miss it. I miss my starry hair. And Celestia just did not care.
Yeah, I totally didn't pick up on that at all. How did I miss this? It's all about their mane. I really like her mane. Oh no, it's not there. Oh. Because sometimes I get lost in facial expressions so much that sometimes, I don't see the things that are absolutely obvious.
It happens. I do that a lot.
This is the kind of work that someone's having not the best day and then looks at this and it's like, I feel so much better now. And then they think, where did my hair go?
Yeah, if you wake up suddenly and your hair's gone, you should probably be worried.
You might want to get that checked. And like your first piece, talent for lighting is very evident here. And it really comes through with the golden orange robes. The story is always different for every person, for every pony, of course. Who knows? Maybe they're just taking some needed R&R and gone to some far-off place away from Canterlot, getting in touch with their inner pony, inner selves. Some are more patient than others, and like you're saying, Luna is like, want my mane back. And I guess even the twitchy tail, almost dog-like mentality is like, I want to go for a walk, I want to go. It's like, I'm having trouble sitting still, where Celestia is like, full wings spread, etc. So it comes back to the things like what people read into it. And then you've got the lighting peering in, the haze as well. It really feels like you're there. And if we were there, well, first of all, it would be awesome because it's like Celestia and Luna. And it's like, how did we get into Equestria? Doesn't matter. Don't question it. Fully just sit alongside them. Join in the moment. Or Luna quietly says, you want to get out and get some cake? Yeah, let's get some cake. So moving on.
That picture actually managed to inspire Penstroke. The guy who wrote Past Sins wrote a one-shot snippet based off of this picture. When I met him at BronyCon last year was right after I posted this one up. And he's like, hey, do you mind if I make a story based off that picture? Okay.
And referring to Royal Sketchbook February 18th, why have you titled your work as such?
Well, at this point, I'm not bothering to come up with titles for every sketchbook, and that's the date it came out. Just stealing the name of the Tumblr and the date.
Radio, and I guess that's why you clearly say at the top of the description, not in response to anything.
Yeah, most of these come through the Royal Sketchbook are responses to Tumblr. This one, I just wanted to do it. It was sort of the counterpart to a Luna version that I did in Luna Doodle a while ago. So yeah, just Celestia, there.
Someone's like, well, I've got Luna, as well do Celestia.
Pretty much.
Gotta catch 'em all, right?
Exactly.
Not that I've ever been a Pokemon fan, but hey, that line just sticks, doesn't it?
Among many of that show.
Groovy. The first thing that stands out from this work, it's done in pastel style, is that correct?
More or less. I think it just ended up that way because the colors of her mane are very pastel. So it didn't look right bringing in really, really dark colors. But it's pretty much the same brush set I use for most of my work. Just tinkering with different parts of it.
Fantastic. She has such a big, beautiful mane. Makes sense for it to really sort of fill up the frame. And it's got so much flow. I mean, I guess one of the things that sticks out from the show, among many things, is that her mane is so long and wavy. And it sometimes has a mind of its own. Only as we understand this, that sometimes the most simple elements, a lot of hours have probably gone into the animation cycles of her mane alone within the show. We'd like to think so because it's so epic. Apart from technique you've used, when you look at this work now, what do you see? What do you think about?
Honestly, I'm always torn when I look at this one going, I did this really roughly, really, really quickly. Did it suffer from that? Some parts on her skin look kind of blotchy to me. Or is it helped because it's so rough, feels more energetic than, say, a more polished version of it would? So I'm always torn looking at this one.
I definitely fall to the latter. The energy is there. The real sort of, I guess, polished detail is the eye. We all know about the eye. That's, technically the window to the soul or window for the eternal observer. So she actually is sort of smiling, isn't she?
Yeah, a little peaceful smile looking up at the dawn she just raised.
That makes sense for the light. Yeah, now I see that too. Showing my interpretations and you're showing yours. And it's like, oh, wow, now I'm seeing what you're seeing. Moving into Morose Horse, Troubleshoes, straight out of episode 6, season 5. First thing I noticed about this work, yes, someone else clearly picked up on the reference to Eeyore, who practically replaced Troubleshoes and it will still tell the same story. Not as beautiful and as big. And I guess the other big thing was that Troubleshoes is a horse.
Yeah, it was huge. Makes Big Mac take a run for his name.
The expression on his face, and watching that episode, seeing how he was growing up from this beautiful innocent foal, trying to find his way. Unfortunately, leaving town actually, it's hard to say in that episode whether the judges were laughing at him or with him.
Yeah, I don't recall if the judges were laughing at him or with him, if they thought he was trying to be the rodeo clown, or if they were just laughing at a fool who just fell flat on his face.
It's a fine line, isn't it? It's up to us as bronies to find that line within our respective headcanons.
Definitely.
So much headcanon.
Headcanon is both my bane and most glorious thing about the fandom.
And it's even better when we see headcanon realized in the show as well. It's like, oh my goodness, you're in my mind. How awesome is that?
Or conversely, when it destroys it.
Let it go. Let it go. Delving more closer into the image itself, use of tone, something that gives us sort of 3D look, and then we just see big green eyes. Seeing this work, if Troubleshoes wasn't already lovable from that episode, he sure is now.
Going into that piece, it's, again, I guess one of those cases of put so little effort into it, but because of the subject matter, people love it.
Every pony shares a story, that's for sure. I actually have to now watch the episode to check if he actually did have an Eeyore plushie.
He did not. Oh, you are plushes.
When I look at it now, I was like, I cannot not picture it in his wagon. Gonna paint your wagon, gonna paint it good. Oh, Simpsons. The headcanon here is so strong. Although, to be honest, when we watched the episode, anyone who's seen Winnie the Pooh or any reference to Winnie the Pooh would have understood it. It's like, yep, Trouble Shoes, Eeyore. If they by any chance met at Sugar Cube Corner, one can only wonder what they would say. I don't think they would say much. They might just stare at each other.
Don't imagine it being a particularly upbeat and happy conversation.
He has sort of been dealing with his own depression, but nobody beats the depression that Eeyore faces on a daily basis, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And it is a real credit to the writers. Like season 5, if I had to describe it in one word, it's edgy. And it's now delving into things that bronies have faced. We've all come into the fandom for one reason or another. Common reasons like, well, I've had problems and My Little Pony was an answer. Or just a reminder of what I thought I'd lost or I'd forgotten. And to see that reflected in the show, especially like in a character as beautiful as Trouble Shoes, who's damaged but in the end finds his guiding light, so to speak. Ironically, he had the guiding light all along. Like the CMC said, you're just looking at your cutie mark all wrong.
From a perspective of it's a kid's show, it's nice for a kid to know, hey, I don't have to have this all figured out when I'm in 3rd grade or whenever a foal gets their cutie mark. They realize it can change through life and a little bit more hope for when they're an adult, or at least take pressure off of them when they're a little kid.
Absolutely. And when they were finally going home, after the episode ended, of course, we can only hope that stayed in the minds of the CMCs.
This episode has been, what are cutie marks and how do they work? We don't know. Who knows, maybe this season the CMC finally get their cutie marks. Babs already got hers.
Very interesting. It's definitely a parallel to one of the Friends Forever comics. I was like, oh my god, wow, that happened fast.
Yeah, that was fascinating. Crossing the lines now.
They really are. It's crazy, isn't it? It's like they're listening to the fandom.
I don't know if they are. Maybe they're just preemptively, you know what they would like? They'd like this. Or it's just a good idea in general and they're going with it.
Absolutely. So far, it's, well, the words that come to mind is hard-hitting. But it's hard-hitting without actually being hard-hitting. Very clever, those writers, aren't they?
Yeah, of course the animation has greatly improved. It looks gorgeous now.
Even with episode 5, I was like, wow, we realized that Cloud's Eye was mobile. Mobile factory that could move from place to place. That really blew my mind.
Entire city that just moves. Crazy.
Now when I think about it, I've seen that before in an episode of Stargate. Ooh, why is my other love penetrating MLP for some reason? I'm loving it. Who cares? Doesn't matter the reason. There are so much reasons. The important thing is it happens.
Always nice when they leave plenty of room for headcanons to form. Let's have the fun of this.
So, what are your influences? Are there any particular artists or otherwise that have inspired you to do what you do or inspired you along the way?
Try to grab inspiration from DeviantArt or something and see professional piece of concept art, or inspiration from a piece of song or something like that.
Are there any examples that stick out? What's the first one that would come to mind?
Something I can blame Assassin Monkey for is he got me into a musical group called Two Steps from Hell. I think it's just a couple of guys, but they do the sweeping, epic orchestral music that goes behind like movie trailers and things like that. Is for specific in emotions and is meant to inspire, so it does its job pretty well. Beyond that, Feng Zhu, he has a channel on YouTube where he does an hour paintings or just tutorials with concept arts and how to do creatures or landscapes or whatever. So looking at something like that, it's like, I should get better. I want to be like him. I should do that.
Cool. And to bring us home, well, sort of bring us home, what do you think is the future for Silfoe? We've talked about your academic career, about your work. Where do you think things are going?
Try to go with the flow. For the immediate future, keep doing the other work I've got. Royal Sketchbook, maybe open a Patreon or something. Let it take where it will.
Awesome, great attitude. And I would say you're definitely in a position to start a Patreon with over 4,000 watches on DeviantArt. And how many followers do you have on Tumblr?
Sketchbook has a little over 3,000.
Far out. Where else can people find you?
Probably search up, find me everywhere on Derpy Brewer and Reddit too.
Fantastic. Thank you, Silfoe, for being on I'm Brony and I'm Proud. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you.
Thanks, been fun talking.
Catch you later.
See ya.
Bye. This has been I'm Brony and I'm Proud. Lucky Knight speaking. Thanks for listening. Remember to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at IBAIPshow. Proud to be a Brony. Intro and outro by Black Griffin. My Little Pony, friendship is magic.
My little pony. I used to wonder what friendship could be.